Today in the crypto space, we see the market taking a bit of a dip. Bitcoin down below that $24,000 mark, and Ethereum down below that $1,800 level. However, look at these altcoins. Some of them are taking bigger dips than usual. Chainlink down approximately 5%, and Stacks down, Mina down, and a few others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that definitely broke out and is potentially looking for that pullback, and that project is called Chainlink. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below or hit me up on those socials. Guys, join the Discord. The Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals. Guys, let's take a look at this market. What is going on here? At the end of the day, Bitcoin right now is it looks very top heavy. Let's be real about this. It's kind of going sideways. It has a bit of a double top scenario happening right here, especially on the 4 hour. The 1 hour looked a bit weak yesterday. The 4 hour is starting to look weak as well. What about the daily? The daily, not really. The daily is still okay, but what we really have to identify is the fact that Bitcoin is going sideways. And what about if this turns into a Bart Simpson style retracement? Of course, today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin as a leading indicator. We're going to be looking at the general market right now, and then of course we'll take a look at Chainlink, the project for today. We're going to look at its price action. What happened to Chainlink was absolutely epic, but we definitely want to protect those gains. And in order to call yourself a profitable trader, you got to take profits off the table. All right, so let's continue here. Let's see what's going on here with this market. Ethereum pretty much following Bitcoin's lead, kind of going sideways with that double top type of formation. BNB rolling the over a little bit, grinding to the downside. Obviously BNB got a bit of Binance got a bit of FUD in the last couple of days, given that it did kind of halt withdrawals just for technical issues. Nothing else other than that. So maybe it got a little bit undervalued based on that. Maybe it's a good time to maybe scale in. I don't know. I feel like the overall, depending on what Bitcoin does in the next little while, we could definitely get an opportunity to buy some dips. So let's take it easy here, guys. I know Bitcoin is recovering from a nice pop to the upside, and maybe we might see a bit of a retracement, but nonetheless, I'm going to be very, very, very hesitant here with Bitcoin. It did a great job, creating a nice higher high at a good level of potential resistance at an extension level, and we'll talk about those details in a second. Solana rolling over, maybe we get a nice bearish divergence here, but so far it's only been down 4.6%, still grinding to the upside. Structurally, nothing has changed, still in a nice upwards sloping channel, still higher highs and higher lows. Trend is your friend, all that good stuff. So keep in mind that in the immediate short term we could get a retracement. In fact, we did get a bit of a retracement, but we could come back up and test previous highs, and that's where the magic happens. We start looking for structural breaks. Are we going to get a break of structure, another higher high? Are we going to get rejected at the previous high and potentially start looking for a change of character in this consolidation? And for me, that's a very important thing, because a change of character within the structure starts to give us an indication that maybe Solana might be looking for a dip. Big picture, Solana did very well. A healthy retracement could be happening, so we just got to be careful here. Right now, if you're in some good profits throughout this market, be prepared. Start getting into a bearish stance, in the sense that you're going to start looking and actively preparing yourself in a bearish mindset, just in case. You don't want to be blindsided. You don't want to give those gains back to the market. So change your lens, change your stance from aggressive to aggressive offense to aggressive defense whenever you see the market conditions change. The market conditions change to be very, very bullish. Great. Now it's time to always be on your toes, ready for that bearish scenario, okay? Because it could happen any moment. Let's continue here. Cardano still looking good, double top-ish here on Tron, double top with maybe a bearish divergence. Toncoin not looking the greatest. Chainlink, the project for today, is down approximately 4.5%. The biggest question for me is, are we going to come back down to the range that it has been consolidating in for 400 or 500 days and get some support and bounce right off of it? Guys, that would be, a nice thing. It would be a great thing. It would be an absolutely bullish thing ultimately to show some support at those breakout levels, right? But it is going to require a retracement. And of course, if you're bullish on Chainlink, you're not liking that idea to get a retracement, but it's healthy. It's absolutely healthy to come back down, fill up those volume gaps, get some support, some confidence into the market, and get those bulls right back in, scaling in even heavier than the previous buy-ins that they've done in the past. That way we can get a nice spring off of support and a nice higher high with some strong conviction. Okay, so although it sounds bearish to expect a pullback, ultimately it shows a sign of confidence, and that is what I want to see for the Chainlink market at the end of the day. All right, let's continue here. A bit of repetition throughout these markets. You can see that the overall grind to the upside or is fairly sideways, maybe looking for that Bart Simpson pattern to the downside. Look at AVAX. AVAX is looking pretty good, still holding up approximately 20% in the last 7 days, but nonetheless a little bit of a V retracement here. It's still the trend is your friend. Higher highs, higher lows, still looking good. So let's see what happens with AVAX in the next little while. We'll keep an eye on it. Uniswap not looking good whatsoever. Created a couple of lower highs and having a hard time breaking above. Maybe the divergence, maybe this is follow through. A lot of negativity here with regards to this price action. It looks like a complex pattern. Somewhat of a inverse head and shoulders, basically, that is complex. So in this case, it could break the neckline and roll over a little bit more. I don't know. We're going to keep an eye on Uniswap as well. What else do we have here? Continuations, nice grinding to the upside or sideways. ICP going sideways. Bart Simpson, perhaps. You never know, guys. Volume gaps are definitely right below there. Just eyeballing that, I can expect a volume gap right underneath this consolidation. So this is what we have to anticipate. Near protocol looking really good, 21% to the upside. I always like near, and I always told you guys that I like near. Algorand doing pretty good, 13% to the upside as a big, larger cap layer one. I'm happy to see a bit of a recovery in that project. And of course, as we continue to the market, it's very sideways and choppy, a bit of pullbacks throughout the market, even phantom, but nothing crazy. Maybe give or take 2 to 3%. That's what we're seeing, an opportunity of 2-3%. Nothing really to celebrate, but nonetheless, could this be a beginning of a further dip? That's the biggest question, right? We have a lot of the gainers that did very well, like Mina coming down a lot more. I don't even know where Mina Protocol is right now here on the list, but it's somewhere around here. Mina Protocol got rejected and is coming down, and many others. Look at Mina Protocol, got rejected and down approximately 9.2%, but it did make 100% gains, overall. That's why taking profits is absolutely important to maintain your profitability, okay? Scale out, scale in, DCA in, DCA out, and that way you are protected either way. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is making a bit of a pattern on this 4-hour. But before we look at the 4-hour, what can we say about the daily? Honestly, the daily is still looking okay. It's still looking okay. Why? Because we need to close this daily candle in a bearish stance before we can actually, get a bit bearish. So far, maybe a bit of a retracement, a bit of a rejection at, horizontal resistance is not really an indication just yet that the Bitcoin bulls are done pushing the price to higher levels, but lower time frames tell a different story. So you know what, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So at the end of the day, like I mentioned, this little red candle right now, it does look a bit tweezer topish. It could look a little bit bearish if it is totally encompassing the previous green candle. It does look like potential reversal pattern, but I would like to see the daily close tonight at 8 o'clock. And of course, tonight at 7:30 Eastern, I am going to be live, ready to go for that candle close. So feel free to join, and of course, that is a great time and place for you to make those requests on any of those altcoins that you're interested in. I'll put them in top priority, but you can see that maybe altcoins might might be moving based on Bitcoin's decision. Right now, Bitcoin is really early here. Are we going to get a quick rejection? I don't know. It's possible, but not enough data just yet. What I do see here is a deep volume gap right into this zone. You can see right about, it actually begins at about 33,500, give or take, and the volume gap does hold a bit of support beginning at about 31,775, about 32,000. Okay, so that's the range of weakness, and you'll see it a lot more in lower time frames. So let's look at the momentum oscillators for a second. We see that the MACD is so far pale green histogram bar, no EMA cross, so still in a bullish stance. Okay, still potentially looking for another impulsive move to the upside. Okay, so let's be aware of that we can still get another continuation and build a nice pattern here that could even be a head and shoulders, and we get a nice head up here and then a shoulder down here. It's the type of thing, and that head basically getting to higher levels would just be a nice liquidity grab, a sweep of the highs, a nice fake out, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it's very, very possible. Okay, so something to consider. Now, the RSI, on the other hand, is showing a bit of weakness. Look at this rejection. Look at this quick dip here. We're trying to catch up or basically meet up with the yellow line once again. This is one of the things that I've always been talking about, the mean reversion play. In this case, we see the yellow and the purple were really far extended away from each other, and they want to get back together again. So what's going to happen here is the price action is going to come down or go sideways, while the momentum, the EMA on this momentum, is going to try to catch up to the purple line. And this is what we're trying to do, is maybe meet in the middle type of thing. Bit of a retracement on the daily, fine, and then maybe a bit of a pop on the daily to confirm this as a top, looking for bearish divergence, looking for indications of weakness from the bulls. But we're still ahead of the game here for the daily. The daily is still okay, and we can still get a higher high even if the momentum creates a lower high. Why? Because that's class A bearish divergence, and it happens all the time. Okay, so I'll keep you posted on what happens on the daily, but the magic right now is happening on the 4 hour. So let's get into the 4 hour and see what's going on there with the Bitcoin price. At the end of the day, we have a bit of a pattern. We have a bit of some data here to suggest that the 4 hour is showing a bit of weakness. So what I would really like to do, in fact, is go on the 1 hour, because the 1 hour is what we talked about yesterday. The 1 hour, I rarely trade the 1 hour. It's not part of my strategies to focus on the 1 hour. I focus on the 4 hour primarily. But you can see that in the last little while, the momentum has been coming down while the price action has been going sideways, holding up, going sideways. Now, if we get completely oversold here on the 1 hour, it's very likely that upon the bounce of momentum to the overbought condition once again, that we get another impulsive move on the 1 hour. But you know that the 1 hour at the end of the day is not a biggest time frame, and it could be a small move to the upside. What I really want to focus on is the 4 hour. Okay, now let's keep in mind the daily looks like it wants to roll over, but it's gonna take some time to give us confirmations. The 1 hour is getting to oversold conditions, and it may be looking for a pop to the upside again to get to overbought, because it's almost there to oversold, right? So almost there means that we might get some support and get a bounce here. So maybe we get a bit of support here and then get a bounce again, and the question is, how high do we go? The magic is in the 4 hour. The 4 hour right now is giving us a little bit of an indication that yes, we are getting a bearish divergence starting from overbought conditions. The EMA cross on the MACD is definitely there. Look at this EMA cross there, red histogram bars to the downside, and the momentum on the RSI has just begun to fall into a basically a collapse, breaking down below these lows. Now, what's more important is that the bearish divergence is evident, right? Higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the momentum starting from here to here. Okay, now this could be totally invalidated, and the way we invalidate this is creating a higher high on the RSI, basically coming up here, or at least double topping on the RSI. Okay, right now as we speak, it doesn't look like it's gonna happen, but it may happen. So I'm gonna keep this diagonal in here so that we keep in mind that even if we get a pop to the upside based on the 1 hour, because remember what I said about the 1 hour, the 1 hour is almost oversold, and it may be looking for a bounce to the upside, and then we might come up momentum wise on the 4 hour, make another lower high, and continue the class A bearish divergence on the 4 hour. Okay, we're talking about pure momentum at this moment. Okay, now if we look at the price action, what does it tell you? It tells us that there's a weak spot, guys, a big weak spot that we need to watch out for. And I usually don't identify weak spots on the 4-hour, but I'm going to do it this time because you know what, the setup is nice. We're at a decent level of resistance, and I'm going to explain the resistance in a second. We hit the 1.618 extension level on the dollar, guys. And if you remember, when I released a video on Bitcoin, I did basically identify this to be the zone to watch out for. This arrow, and let me scooch it over so we can really see it on the 4-hour a bit better. Okay, so if you look at the 4-hour, you can see that I put this in at the 1.618 extension was absolutely perfect. And at this level, we had the 1.27 extension, which we could still use as support. But you can see that if we break below this volume gap, which we've produced by raging up so hard, we produce a weak spot in this chart. And that's one thing that we have to identify. This is a really weak spot. Look at that, empty, empty, empty volume. Look at the price action looking left, straight up. And then we also have another weak spot in this price action. Well, not another, but a bit of weakness right about here. Okay, so we'll highlight it double time in the extra weak spot, and we'll leave it somewhat red in the somewhat weak area, which is this area right here, because right below where we are consolidating currently at the moment, you can see that there's the beginning of some weakness. You know, this is where the weakness actually begins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a horizontal, sorry, and I'm going to put it right here. And say, look, guys, at the end of the day, if we do break below, we got to be careful. We definitely got to be careful because we have a volume gap below. There's no area here for support. If we break below, we're coming down to about 32K. And guess what 32K is? Right here at this thicker white line, thicker yellow line. It is the previous breakout point, the previous high. So back testing the previous high, maybe we get support, maybe we don't. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But a healthy back test to the previous breakout level is absolutely great. That way you can get back into an entry if you want to scale in, if you want to look for a potential pop, especially in altcoins. That could be your opportunity to see altcoins retrace, get back to previous lows, and maybe even make a lower low, right? Because we're seeing a bit of weakness right now in the altcoins, just a bit. You know, it might give you that opportunity to scale in if you haven't yet. So we're going to keep an eye on what Bitcoin has been doing. Just keep in mind the trend is your friend, and it's the likelihood of a pop to the upside or a continuation to the upside after a consolidation is very high because it could be a bullish pennant, a bullish flag that we continue to the upside. But based on momentum, I'm not convinced. I'm being very, very protective based on this bearish divergence that could be forming here. The EMA is crossing, and all of the volume weakness right below could be, you know, an area where we can expect the price action to fall and drop right through this zone. Okay, so that's my bearish thesis. Now, from a bullish perspective on Bitcoin, of course, there's lots of possibility. You know, we could get up to 40K, and it's very possible. But momentum is very overbought on all time frames. MACD is so overextended on all time frames, and this is why getting into a fresh long position on Bitcoin is somewhat scary. Okay, we're hit that 1.618 extension, and I'm happy to now, you know, focus on other assets that have yet to run up, like those altcoins. All right, guys, let's take a look at Chainlink. Chainlink will use Bitcoin as a leading indicator. Why? Because Bitcoin already did a job. It rallied up. It took a lot of the altcoins up with it, including Chainlink. And Chainlink hit almost to the dollar the target that I had placed in here. You know, obviously, cents and dollars are hard to really pinpoint, but look at this area that we've hit. Perfect, perfect, perfect. If you were watching the charts, if you front run this, congratulations. You know, you have to front run. You have to scale out, scale in. You got to be, you know, do your due diligence. No one's going to tell you exactly where to take profits on the cent. And we've hit a very, very decent area, almost within the dollar zone. Within 20 cents, we've hit it. Okay, so perfect. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, or at least show a little bit more of the price action, the story here is actually really healthy in the sense that we broke out of this sideways channel. The sideways channel was too extended for way too long, and we finally picked up enough bullish bids to break out. And that's what we did here with the green arrows and the green arrows. We got to a very, very oversold scenario in a nice way where we were at the bottom of the range with a healthy risk to reward ratio, because we could have put an invalidation, a stop loss right underneath these lows. And guys, so far, guys, we did very, very well. Now, what do we do here? The next reality is that we hit a good level. Measured move wise within this range is probably most likely very accurately put where we're at, about $12, a nice psychological number. And we can see that at the end of the day, as we entered this zone, we filled up the volume gap. The volume gap wasn't as thick here. We didn't have much volume. We filled it up a little bit because of this consolidation, which means that we got a lot of volume here. And how could we confirm that we got a lot of volume here? Is look at the volume bars. They're up, they're nice and green, they're thick, which means that at the end of the day, at this level, we are filling up supply and demand for future support or resistance. Now, if we look below, equally to as Bitcoin, we got a little bit of a volume gap here that suggests that we can test the top of this consolidation once again. The breakout point, coming back to the breakout point as a backtest, as a confirmation to suggest that this will be support for further price action to the upside, is actually very healthy. In this case, your risk is actually mitigated if you look for support at this level, put a stop loss if it gets back into the channel, and that way you can enjoy a nice bounce to the upside. Okay, so this is what we're looking out for in the immediate short term. Just to throw this out there, the daily is still in overbought conditions. The EMAs are very similar to Bitcoin, facing up, green histogram bars to the upside. We got one pale green histogram bar, not a big deal because a lot of the times those kind of flicker there at that level. So let's see what happens. The RSI on the other hand is very overbought, getting a bit of a pullback, and the mean reversion play is at hand right now. You can see that the purple and the yellow want to get back together. The same way they wanted to get back together here, they're doing a very similar thing, waiting and trying to get back together. So let's see what happens. Price could come down and or consolidate a little bit, waiting for the yellow to catch up, and then they kind of do their thing, or we can get a bit of a dip getting back to the previous breakout level again, like I mentioned. Now the real magic happens on lower time frames, right? Because the 4-hour could be telling us a little bit of a story because we have more data. Look at the price action here on Chainlink. Higher highs on the price action, very, very clear, and then we got lower highs on the RSI, super clear. Now let's see if I can get that in there, and you can see that the RSI is slowly dripping down while this price action is moving up. And guess what, guys? We have some confluence with the MACD. Look at this MACD on the 4-hour. It looks like it's definitely trying to roll over, and I can't make this bigger for some reason. No big deal. All right, let's see. Finally, there we go. You can see that both the EMAs are facing down and the histogram bars. So you're getting a lot of class A bearish divergence here on this price action on the 4-hour. Now, again, the volume gap is right in here. If we break this previous low and we break right into this empty zone, it's likely that we come back to about $8.30, which once again is the previous breakout level. The level that we broke with that channel, the top of the channel, where we broke to actually get to this higher level. If we backtest, get confirmation, get some support, and get oversold on the 4-hour, you might be interested in getting into another long position, and then putting a stop loss as clearly as possible right within invalidation, which would be if the price happens to get back into this channel, guys. It's not looking good. If it gets back into the channel, we're back into the range. If we're back into the range, then we start looking at lows once again, because that would be an indication that the bulls do not have enough strength to get to a higher high, and that we need to come back down to pick up some bullish bids at lower levels. We need to get Chainlink on sale so that when we come back to the zone, we actually have enough bullish momentum, enough bulls behind us to actually break to the higher levels. So getting back into this range is not a good idea. So what we really have to pay attention to is if on the back test, and when and if we get that back test according to the 4-hour, that we get some support at previous highs. Again, look at the 4-hour, very similar to Bitcoin, bearish divergence. Both momentum oscillators are showing that, and we got a bit of a volume gap right into here that could suggest that we come back down to about $8.15. All right, guys. Now the lower time frames, I really don't trade the 1-hour, but you can see that we're almost oversold already. Let's see if it happens when we get oversold. We could just be going sideways, neutralizing the negative or the bearish momentum because of all the bullishness that's been around lately. But you can't deny that even if Chainlink or even Bitcoin makes a higher high, the 4-hour is still forming this bearish divergence, and as long as the momentum is downward sloping this way, the class A bearish divergence still exists. Now we can get 3 impulsive moves to the upside on the 4-hour. Right now we only have 2, and sometimes all it takes is 2, but more often we do get a third drive where we get 3 drives of bearish divergence 1, 2, and 3, and then we continue coming down, and then finally on the third impulse we do finally basically activate the bearish divergence, and then we follow through. A lot of people get wrecked on the double top on the the two impulses, and then they don't get back in on the third, and that's when you actually should be getting in, because the probability increases over time that we do end up rolling over if we get that third bearish divergence. All right, guys, I think we did good here. Guys, feel free to join me live tonight at 7:30, where we talk about crypto news and price action. It is a great opportunity for you to make some requests on any of the altcoins that you're interested in. And if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join that Discord, guys. The Discord is a great community, lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and all that good stuff. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.